Hi, I'm Troy Collier, former Harlem Globetrotter, and Associate Dean at the University of South Florida, and you're watching Tampa Bay Community Network.
Well, hello there, Tampa Bay, and welcome to the Tampa Bay Community Network Sports Talk. I'm your host, Coach Chuck White, and my guest is the former Harlem Globetrotter, Mr. Troy Collier, who's currently formerly also been the counselor at our own University of South Florida. So this is going to be a real great show, and I'm sure each of you are going to enjoy it. So just sit back and relax. So Troy, well, first of all, I want to say welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Chuck. It's always a pleasure to get together with you on your many shows.
Yes, well, we've been together for many years on our show, and I really enjoyed having you because you have a lot of interesting things to let our listeners and our viewers know. So why don't we just start off by asking you, what was the Harlem Globetrotters and how did it originate?
Well, the Harlem Globetrotters a team which, and it's really always interesting, with the Harlem Globetrotters. I was with the Harlem Globetrotters for about 3 seasons, and I've spent most of my life doing other things, but what people always want to talk to me about is the Harlem Globetrotters, and indeed, playing with the Harlem Globetrotters was certainly a highlight of my life. I was able to play with the Globetrotters right after college. But the Globetrotters began way back in, I think, probably the 30s, or maybe even the 20s. The Globetrotters started out as a regular basketball team. They started out touring the country and playing just regular basketball without what the Harlem Globetrotters became known for later on, all of the tricks and the very special things that the Globetrotters did. They played for many years. As a matter of fact, during the 50s, the Globetrotters played in what was called the World Series of Basketball and was able to win the World Series of Basketball 8 out of 10 years, beating teams like the Minnesota Lakers and all the other real basketball teams that everyone knew about. But the Globetrotters, of course, were known for being an entertainment team, and of course, they did that very, very well. But they started out really as a basketball team that played real basketball. They toured the country and they would play local teams all over the country. And during the 40s began playing also in Europe.
Abe Saperstein or
Abe Saperstein.
Saperstein?
Yes.
Was he the original owner?
Abe Saperstein was the original owner. The Globetrotters started out, he was kind of the manager of the team, and the team was kind of jointly owned by all the guys that played during that time. Of course, at some point, some of the guys decided that it was really kind of difficult to be out on the road all the time, and Abe Saperstein kind of put some money into the team and began making sure that the guys get paid. Because as you know, if you're a team just kind of traveling around, there was not always pay and that kind of thing. So Abe Saperstein took over the ownership and responsibility for making sure that the guys get paid.
Well, how did they come up with this name, Harlem Globetrotters?
Well, there's been a lot of stories about the Harlem Globetrotters, how the name came about. But one of the reasons they were known as Harlem, of course, is because it was, Harlem was kind of the center of Black America, the center of Afro-Americans. So and since they were playing a lot of the games in the Midwest and all over the country, I think they wanted to notify the community that this was a black team, Harlem, which was, significant of being a black team. Globetrotters really was because Abe Saperstein had this vision of playing all over the world. And so his idea was that the Globetrotters were going to indeed be a global team. They were going to play all over the world, and indeed they have.
Well, before the Harlem Globetrotters, you played with the college teams, high school. Let's just give our viewers a chance to know how Troy Collier came up playing basketball. When did you first start?
Well, that's very interesting. As a basketball player, I guess I first started at the boys' club and the parks in my neighborhood. As a matter of fact, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and last year the park that I played at all the time, East Lake Park, they put a plaque up on the wall to signify all the guys that played ball there. And I was not able to attend that ceremony, but it was a place that really there was, for me, a start. But I started like a lot of kids. I played at the boys' club. I played at the parks and recreation. I played in the church leagues and just played a lot of basketball. What's very interesting is my neighborhood had a lot of really great athletes, and I really, since I was really always mostly the tallest kid around, and everybody assumed that I could play basketball. But as you know, if you're very tall, you're not always the most gifted athlete early on in life. Yeah. And I really was not that anxious to play with all these guys who were really great athletes, but they usually drug me along and I played. So I began playing. As a matter of fact, I played high school with about 3 of the guys that grew up playing with me in the neighborhood. So I played at Phoenix Union High School, where we had some very successful teams. I played 2 years at Phoenix College. I had very good teams also.
Well, we talked about you playing with the junior high team.
People probably don't know that the community colleges in the day was junior colleges.
Yes.
And in Arizona, there was 2 junior colleges. One was Phoenix College, and the other was Eastern Arizona Junior College. And oftentimes, players who did not go directly to the college or universities played for 2 years at the junior college. I played at Phoenix College and was really had some very successful teams. As a matter of fact, if I recall, we were 30-3 both years at Phoenix College. So it was very successful, and really I learned a lot of basketball.
Well, what's your overall feeling about junior colleges? You know, a lot of people put a knock on junior colleges when guys coming out of high school going to play ball sometime. I had some guys when I was coaching in the community colleges, it later became the name, and I knew they weren't ready to play 4-year, and we had a guy came out to University of South Florida, and he never played a total of a full game during his 4 years. He just sat on the bench and go in for 2 minutes and so on and so. But had he come with the community colleges, he would have been well-groomed and ready for that his junior year. Yeah. So what is your thinking?
Well, it certainly worked out well for me. As a matter of fact, it probably is the difference in what happened to me as a basketball player. As you know, back during the time when I got out of high school, freshmen were not able to play varsity basketball in college. So my high school coach also got the job at the local junior college. So he said, well, why don't you go with me for 1 year to Phoenix College and then transfer to a 4-year school? I'll tell you, for me, that was really a great thing. It was a great thing academically because I'm not sure if I was ready to go academically to a 4-year college, but also it gave me an opportunity to play basketball. Played a lot of great teams. We played primarily schools in California, and but just really it was a great chance for me to play some really good basketball, but really it was a chance for me to transition from high school to college. Academically and as a basketball player. I would recommend, for lots of students, a lot of people as freshmen, they really are not ready to jump from one. It's a big jump from high school to college, and that really is a good transition. I think it would work well for many athletes. I'm not sure why people don't consider that more often.
Well, I coached and taught at the community college, Hillsborough Community College. Both my daughters attended Hillsborough Community College, not because I was working there, because anything else they wanted to be away from me, but I thought, as you said, the best thing for kids to do when they're leaving high school, rather than go into that deep water to try to swim academically, start off in the low water.
For some students, they might be ready for the 4-year, but for many students, that transition period really
I
can
think
be
they
valuable.
all should get a taste, like your coach said, come for 1 year. However, you found out it was a good thing, you stayed for 2 years.
Absolutely.
So I had one of my kids didn't stay but 1 year, but the other one stayed for 2 years. But I feel now that more people should know more about the community colleges and try to get into it's less fee, it's more economical.
Absolutely.
People hand care for you more so. You can come home and go to college rather than just be out there by yourself away from home. So I don't see much publicity. Do you?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I'm always amazed that how little coverage that the community colleges receive. And of course, Hillsborough Community College have very outstanding athletic programs.
Yes.
A very good basketball program. Have had some players who have gone on to four-year schools, but really get very little coverage locally. And perhaps that's one of the reasons that people in the community don't really look at them. They don't get the kind of coverage that I think they deserve.
You know, when you were working at University of South Florida, I had a basketball player. His name was Leon Leaky Smith. They call him Leaky. Do you remember Leaky? I sent him over there and I talked with you prior to getting him in there, and you said, yeah, and the coach let you negotiate for Leaky.
Oh, of course I remember Leaky Smith. Of course, Leaky Smith didn't need a lot of negotiating. He was pretty confident young man. He was very mature and a tremendous basketball player. I mean, that's the kind of person I like to mentor. I mean, he really didn't really need a lot of mentoring. And, I was able to talk with him and the coach, and everybody. Just, the guy, he took care of his business. He took care of the classes. And he was, for USF, that was doing the highlights of USF basketball during the time that he was there. Of course I remember Leaky Smith.
Are you giving me the credit for having well-trained him to prepare for that?
Well, I would think you...
That's what I tried to do. That was the most important thing, more so than the wins and losses. I tried to prepare them for the next level. Joe Patton, a great coach at Hillsborough Community College, came later behind me, and he sent a lot of guys from Hillsborough Community College to four-year schools. Derek Worrell's over there now. He sent some there. So I say to those who are listening, academic and athletically, give more consideration to the community colleges. Not that you just got a 2-year scholarship and that's the end. That's just your start, a stepping stone to going into that. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely. Chuck, I might have mentioned to you before a relative of mine, my sister's grandson, who really is about 6'4", 6'5", and in high school, of course, had played forward and center. Of course, at the college level, he's not going to be able to play, center, certainly, and he might be able to play forward, but really is not big enough to play. He went 2 years of community college and really worked out very well. Well, of course, and he's now in a 4-year college, and scheduled. He's finished 1 year there and is scheduled to graduate next year. And his team won in the school he's at, won the conference championship. So it's working out very, very well for him. And I think for many students, they certainly ought to consider it. But it depends, on the individuals.
Let's change gears a little bit. There are a lot of controversial issues going on in the NBA and in professional sports, starting with football. Michael Sam, is it?
Yes.
He was supposedly been in what they call the closet, and he came out of the closet saying he's free now. But it looked like he might be facing more problems out of the closet than he did in the closet. Would you like to talk about that?
Well, I don't really know what to say about that. The locker rooms are very, very special places. The people, you really know an awful lot about people, but there's really a lot of things you don't know about people's private life. When you come into the locker room, you kind of, that you're in the locker room to talk about the game, to talk about playing and winning, and your life is really, it's different. The locker room is where, you prepare to participate in your particular sport. I don't know if I played with anyone who was gay or not. That was never a conversation. We talked about how we were going to play and who you're going to play, and you really didn't bring much of your
Personal.
other life, into the locker room. And I think that's going to be the case. If Michael Sam is able to play football, and he's able to, whatever he is outside is outside. But he come in the locker room, you're ready to go to work. And that's kind of the same, if you have a job, you come in to work and you come to go to work, and that's primarily what your interest is. And so that's my feeling about it.
But going back to
Chuck, I would just have to say that it depends on the individual. People have to decide, if they want to take on those additional burdens, that certainly is a decision that they ought to make. But, when you come into the locker room, I mean, that's, we're there to take care of the business in the locker room. And
Right.
all the other stuff ought to be outside.
That's right. It's a family thing. It's
Yes.
just a thing of that sport, whether it's football, basketball,
Exactly.
baseball, or whatever, and not what's your sex orientation, whatever. It's just football, basketball,
That's
or
what it's
baseball.
about in the locker room, yes.
I wish Michael Sam the best. I wish him the
Absolutely.
best, and I hope
Absolutely.
that everything can work out for him to be able to make the team because he's a superb athlete. from
It
what I've
appears to
seen.
be a tremendous athlete,
Yeah,
yes.
from what I've seen, he's a great athlete and a great person. Now, another thing that's been a controversial issue, or been talked about in a negative sense, Sterling, the LA Clippers owner.
Yes.
You remember that situation?
Yes, I do. Boy, that's a very, very, very difficult situation. I don't know what to say about that situation. Again, he was involved in private conversation, and, I don't know if it should have ever gone, public. I mean, what people talk about, what you and I talk about, it should be between you and I. And our views, unless we take it out into the public, ought not become public, I don't think.
But because it should be between you and me, I feel that it has gotten out.
Yeah.
And he said some damaging things.
Extremely
that,
damaging, yes.
It's affecting the players,
Absolutely.
the fans, and the owners.
Absolutely.
Many people don't want to go to that organization because of him.
Absolutely.
Many people who within the organization want to leave
Absolutely.
because of him.
Yes.
And it's damaging, and they're trying to get him to sell the team.
Yeah.
They'll ban him already for life.
Yes.
He can no longer be a part of the NBA in any manner.
Right.
So why would I want to stay around if I'm banned? He said he does not want to sell, and he's thinking about suing and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I feel that this is a thing that he should give consideration to, and I'm glad it came to light.
Yeah.
Because
Well, the
there's
NBA,
no place for people like him in there.
I would agree with that. But of course, there's a tremendous amount of money that is involved in the whole thing. Sponsors. You have the sponsors. You have the players. You have the whole NBA image. It's an extremely complicated situation, and it really should not have. It should not have occurred.
Well, we're going down to the Final Four in the NBA.
Yes.
National Basketball Association
Yes.
playoffs. Now, we've gone down to San Antonio
Yes.
Spurs
San Antonio. Yes.
and
yes,
OKC,
yes,
Oklahoma City. What do you think about that series?
I think that Oklahoma's going to have a very difficult time in that series. As you know, Ibaka, their major inside player and rebounder, defender, is out for the series.
Loss.
Out for the
Tremendous
series.
loss.
And I don't see how they can win with him out of the mix. Oklahoma is a tremendous team. I think Kevin Durant is one of the most phenomenal players I have ever seen any place. I mean, the guy is 6'11", he handles the ball, he passes, he shoots three-pointers. I mean, he's a tremendous player. He's great, but I kind of believe that you win basketball games with an inside. Maybe because I played inside. I think the center inside is just extremely important.
But he plays outside most of the time.
He's outside, but they
He's
don't have.
6'11"?
Yes, 6'11", yes.
Wow.
Tremendous. He is a tremendous athlete.
What about Russell?
Tremendous again. The guards, really. But they can't stop anyone inside. I mean, that's really the problem. As you know, Tim Duncan scored 28 points the other night.
Right, the old man.
No defense. Nobody can cover him inside. They didn't have Ibaka's out. That really hurts them, and I think that's going to be the problem.
Tony Parker. Tony Parker. Talk about him a little bit.
I love Tony Parker. I'm not particularly favor of Duncan. Duncan's competent and he's good, but Tony Parker is the heart of that team. And of course, you got to think about their coach. I mean, they have a tremendous organization.
Pop, one of the best.
They have a tremendous organization. They play very well. I look for them to win it. And then, of course, they get to play against who I think will be the Heat, who is, as you know, playing Indiana on the other side of the thing.
I can't put too much hope in the Heat. I say I can't put too much hope because they got what they call the so-called Big Three. And you either got LeBron or you got Wade going on. But Bosh, sometimes he's on, sometimes he's off. But I was so surprised in the game before the last, he only got 2 rebounds. And his shooting wasn't there. Yeah. But I don't think he should be shooting at 3-pointers. He should hang around the baseline a little more, maybe at the corner, and let Dwayne Wade and LeBron James and those handle the outside. And they seem to do a thing what I call one-on-one basketball. Once they get the ball, they just go one against the defense till they can get free to shoot instead of move the ball, move the body, and run the plays. And I like Miami because it's a Florida team, and I live in Florida, and I would like to see them do what their potential say they should be doing. But I don't think much of their strategy.
Well, I think the basketball game now is so different than it was in the past. Those guys, Bosh, was a tremendous scorer. He came from Toronto, and he averaged over 20 points a game for several years. He is a tremendous player. On that team, I think that, different players are going to pop up every night. They play against a team, and the team divine a strategy, and they have to adjust to that strategy. So that's why I think some nights you're going to see him play more inside than outside, and some other nights you're going to see him, playing down on the post. But the Heat's a tremendous team, and the big three, they really are all tremendous players.
Offensively, defensively, you'd get Ray Allen and those. When it's time to switch on that pick and roll, they leave somebody open often. They leave somebody open. You watch that now. Anytime they get a pick and roll, a screen and roll, as you may call it, somebody gets open. They end up with 2 guys on the same guy. Say you guarding this guy, somebody pick you and I both stay there instead of one of us switching off and he gets open. So
well, you're a coach. I've never coached, but the idea is you can hope that they don't find that open man and get the ball.
They have been. They have been, and they've been shooting those threes. Good God, they've been shooting those threes. Now, I have a lot of opposition on my thinking. I got a good friend. I don't mind calling his name because he's listening in. Horace Bobo Stroud. He often talk about how many rings he got. He hadn't got a ring. So he seemed to feel if you got a ring, that means you were a heck-fired player. And if you don't have a ring, you're not much of a player. And he talks about Michael Jordan, how many rings he got, Phil Jackson, the coach, and he's been here and there. Well, to me, a ring comes with a championship team, not so much the individual player, how well he played. Charles Barkley was a great player.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's got a ring.
No.
I don't think O.J. Simpson got a ring. He's one of the best running backs been out there. Mm-hmm. And the quarterback from Miami, I'm trying to think of his name right now, he eludes me. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. He doesn't have a ring.
Yeah.
So,
well, a team sport, Chuck, as you know, the one individual, I think Jordan more than anyone as one individual really propelled a team with a lot of mediocre players, to championship. He was that great. Michael Jordan was, he was that great.
I give him that.
And it didn't play with a lot of great players, but played with good players.
Picking.
Yeah, but he didn't play with a lot of great players. But a team really have to be a team, and there have to be a coming together of a team. And sometimes, you can have the greatest player in the world. If he don't have the pieces around him, he's not going to win that championship.
Well, the same thing I say about Phil Jackson. They say he won over the Bulls, he won over the Lakers,
yes.
but he had good players.
Yes.
Magic helped him do that. Michael
players.
helped him do that. So I don't care how great a coach you got, and that's looking at the Buccaneers, supposed to have a great coach coming in. If you don't have the players, you're not going to get the win. Well, Troy, before we close out, we got about a minute left. I just want people to know that you had a position at the University of South Florida. Give it to us.
Well, I was at the University of South Florida from 1971 to about 2005 or 6, and retired as Associate Dean of Students, working with students, worked with just a tremendous number of students that were really outstanding. It was my life's work, and something I'm very proud of. I see our students in the news who are PhDs and who are really doing wonderful things. So it was a great opportunity for me, and it was a great opportunity to work with those students and see many of them succeeding in life. That's one of the really great things.
Troy, I want to thank you for being on the show, and I want to let you know that that's it for the Coach White Tampa Bay Community Network Sports Talk. And we certainly hope you've enjoyed this show as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. So be with us again on our next show right here on the Tampa Bay Community Network Sports Talk.
State's most precious resource. They've earned our respect. They deserve our love and support and the best quality of life possible. But to maintain their health, safety, and rights, what Florida's long-term care residents really need is you. Florida's Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Real people helping real people. Improving the lives of the 150,000 elders living in Florida's long-term care facilities. Volunteer as an ombudsman today.
They said
if I got drunk,
what if I did coke?
I'd be one of the guys.
They said meth would help me get through my exams.
They said sniffing glue was no big deal.
Totally safe.
I could party all night.
They said heroin would be the best high I ever had.
It would help me forget my problems.
He said he'd love me forever if I smoked crack with him.
They said I wouldn't get hooked after the first hit.
They said that Ritalin would help me focus.
They said weed wouldn't lead to harder drugs.
They lied.
They lied.
They lied.
He lied.
Find out the truth about drugs.
Drugfreeworld.org.
Drugfreeworld.org.